This is the third in a series of anomalies in what was said by Richard Angell in his dozen of interviews, where he kept regurgitating what appears to be scripted bullshit. This anomaly requires more critical thinking than the first two. But first, here's a recap with the answers to the first two anomalies. In reverse order, let's listen to what Mr. Happy had to say.
I then saw a few minutes later somebody walk out of the restaurant just next to where we were, just meters away, absolutely covered in blood, holding his chest or his neck. I looked up and saw a guy leave the neighbouring restaurant and he was holding the top of his body, his neck. I then could see a few minutes later somebody leave the bar next door, a man absolutely covered in blood, holding his chest or his neck. Together, I saw somebody leave the next door restaurant, clearly covered in blood, holding the top of their body, potentially even their neck. There was a guy leaving the restaurant just next to where we were, and he was covered in blood, holding his chest or their neck. They were covered in blood, and they meandered through, and I just...
The keen observers amongst you will have spotted that there is no door in this part of the restaurant shop front, and the door to the restaurant is actually around the side. It's here. So how does Mr. Happy, who says everyone was told to duck and cover, see even the glass front of the restaurant, let alone around the corner and up the far side of the restaurant next door? Maybe Mr. Happy forgot to say that he was helping the wonderful waiter to wedge the door closed when the outward opening door fell open and Mr. Happy fell out into the street and rolled a couple of times until he could see around the corner of the black and blue. Maybe he could have done that. What do you think?
This wonderful young man, one of the waiters, put himself, his foot and his body behind the door, a big glass door, to stop it. This wonderful young man from the restaurant puts his foot in the door and keeps it locked. Wedged his foot in the door and kept it closed while they found the underpaid waiter ran at the door, put his foot behind it and made us safe, and people ran to their safety.
When the script about the wonderful waiter wedging the door open was being written for Mr. Happy, the scriptwriter must have been thinking about the dude in the Big Lebowski. Back to Anomaly 3 in the Think Tank series. This one requires some real critical thinking. See if you can spot the anomaly. Mr. Happy is talking about the Cockney hero, Gerard. Here's a reminder who Gerard is.
Earlier on, about what he witnessed.
So I walk up to London Bridge, I go past the West Bank, come under the train bridge. The next minute I saw a geezer on the floor going, I've been stabbed. So I looked at him, I saw blood all down him. His mate come past, someone stabbed my mate. The next minute I saw these three Muslim guys run up with knives. They ran up and started stabbing this girl, three of them. I was defenseless, I couldn't do nothing, mate. And then they attacked her, and then they stabbed another guy, I think, if I remember right. That was a bit shocked. They started running up the road, I started going, everybody run, the terrorists, run, and they're stabbing everyone. So I followed them, went down towards the West Bank, towards Borough Market, and then we got round here, they started running in, they ran up to, I think, the tavern, they stabbed the bouncer, they were running in all the pubs, all the bars, I can't remember all of them, but they were running in, they were stabbing everyone. I was going to people, run, I was throwing bottles at them, pint glasses, stools, chairs. I tried to help as many people as I could, but at the end of the day, I was defenceless, mate. If I'd have fell over, they'd have probably killed me.
When you're saying they were stabbing everyone, what did you actually see them do?
They were running up going, this is for Allah. When they first see him, they went, this is for Allah, and they run up, they stabbed this girl, I don't know how many times, 10 times, maybe 15 times, and she was going, help me, and I could not do nothing. I tried to help her, I threw something at him, there was a bike on the floor, I tried to pick up the chair, but he was locked to it, to throw it at him, just to get him away from her.
I looked up and saw opposite a guy who was throwing tables, and unclear what that was about and whether it was drunk behaviour. It turned out to be this heroic guy who was out there throwing stuff at the assailants to try and stop them and put it. You saw somebody over the street throwing a table at somebody else, not quite sure what. The opposite, there was a guy who was throwing the tables who turned out to be this heroic man who was trying to save the young woman being stabbed. Then looked across and somebody was throwing tables and other things, and it turned out this heroic guy that was throwing things at the assailants to try and keep all the rest of us safe, which was pretty remarkable. I was able to look out and see across the road a guy who was throwing tables.
Yes, we've heard a lot about this, haven't we? Ordinary people doing what they can, chefs throwing pots and pans at the attackers, and you saw a guy
this absolutely amazing guy who saw these attackers, these cowardly people attack that young woman, and he threw glasses at them and he threw a table at them, he tried to throw a bike at them, and I mean, he put our lives before his. I then saw a guy opposite throw a table at someone, and it was unclear about what that meant. And it turned out this heroic guy who saw what these guys were doing and threw glasses at them, he threw tables at them just to try and stop them hurting this poor young woman who they were stabbing. He was remarkable. He was one of the heroes of the day. Opposite, there was a guy who was throwing stuff at somebody else, and it turned out to be a heroic act where he was trying to stop these terrible people by just throwing chairs and tables and pint glass and whatever. A remarkable man that threw bottles, glasses, a table. He tried to throw a bike at them because he saw these cowardly people stabbing that young woman and he wanted to do his bit. He put our lives before his. I looked up and saw opposite this guy throwing a table at someone, very confused at the time, and it turns out to be this heroic guy that saw what they were doing and threw glasses at them and tables at them and just tried to disrupt what they were doing.
So you've heard it from Mr. Happy 8 times over, telling you how Jared was a hero. But what's the anomaly? Put yourself in Mr. Happy's shoes and think what you would vividly remember.